When would you say that you were born again and you experienced a transformation? When did that happen?
I would say in 1989, when the last gang member got shot 57 times, I had been shot at myself so much time, but the significant one was the guy who got his head blown off right next to me, and he had a hole in his head. That was a traumatic experience because up until then, I hadn't seen murders. My friends all died when I wasn't there. So I had only experienced people shooting at me, but I had not seen a murder. I had hurt people, tortured people, broken limbs. I'd done all of that, but I had not murdered anyone. So I began to seek the help of an MP. He was called Bernie Grant.
Yes.
Just
that's right. He was the Labour MP.
He was the Labour MP for Haringey, for Tottenham.
That's right.
So I began to engage with him to figure out a way to get out of this gangster lifestyle. And then he met up with Diane Abbott, and so Diane Abbott was the MP for Hackney. And so basically, they then took me to America to meet up with a man called Jesse Jackson.
Yes.
And so when I met up with Jesse Jackson, because at that time, the National Black Caucus was really a big organization in America. And so I met up with Jesse Jackson, and I would say that was the first time that somebody had spoken to me about the plan God has for my life. Because up until then, I wasn't a born-again Christian, I was religious.
Yes. Don't
commit crime on a Sunday, don't use women, I was about like that. So it's a bit like the Old Testament, I was a bit law. So he began, basically what he done was he began to show me how to look inward, because I didn't even know how to look inward. And he was showing me that God don't look at the exterior.
Yes.
And he was showing, and if you listen to Jesse Jackson, he didn't come across like how Christians are now, where they're trying to kind of maybe force a message down. He did it in such a way that was relative to me as a young black man and as a very angry black man. He did it in such a way where he drew concepts. Like, so he said to me, he used this analogy. He said, how many black men have you seen hung from a tree? So I said, I've never seen any apart from in the Roots. He said he grew up seeing that.
Yeah.
And he said he could have gone the way of the gangs, but he chose the way of Christ. And I said, so I was like, but why would you choose the way of Christ? Because he said it's easy to be angry, but it's harder to love. Because he was showing me different concepts. So I was like, wow. So he was like, and the way he broke certain things down made me begin to self-reflect a little bit more. Because he actually was showing me racism exists in your mind, but racism doesn't have to control your destiny.
Very good.
And so he began to break down that he did not allow racism. Even though he suffered racism badly, he didn't allow it because he believed in God and the power of God. But obviously from there, that's when I began to think differently.